Okay, so good morning, good afternoon to everyone, whichever part of the world you are. Now, our today's session is on the introduction of the MS project. Hmm.
आपकी आ रही है उधर से किसी नहीं।
Right. So, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, from whichever part you are.
Good morning.
And our today's session is on the introduction to the MS project. So this is based on the introductory of MS project. We are recording this session for future reference for the participants. So that is the objective. And timing was 11 to 12. So we'll wait for others to join, or we'll not wait. We'll start now with the session. So let me begin sharing my screen. So these are the topics which we'll cover today. One is the introduction to the first project management presentation, then using the help menu, how you're doing it, some of the project scheduling rules, and then next is the default menus. What are this task, resource, report, view, project? What are these? Understanding the backstage view, and then how to start a new project file, examining the Gantt chart view, zoom slider and scroll bar, difference between the Gantt chart and Gantt table, 3 buttons, project information using the ribbon and using this quick access toolbar. So for interactive purpose, I would request everybody to switch on their cameras so that we are more aware, like who is understanding and like who is not understanding. So I would request the team to switch on their cameras, so that the session becomes more interactive and it doesn't become just one way presentation. Fine. So I'm presenting my screen now. Let me go through presentation. Right. First thing is, what happens if the project consciousness is not there? So this is a refresher session for the first people who have missed the first session. So we are discussing on this. So what happens if project consciousness is not there? First thing is what the user wanted. Now the user may want, the customer may want a BMW or a Mercedes, and the customer has a budget for a motorcycle, and the time scale actually allowed for a cycle, which is, you know, the circus type of cycle. And what the technician has designed it this way, and what the user finally got is a wheelbarrow. So unfortunately, this is what happens in our projects in a day-to-day life, which if the project consciousness is not there, this is the result of the projects, failed projects. So this is just a cartoon, hilarious cartoon, just to showcase how the things move. Next, this is a famous project management cartoon which has blown the internet. I think most of you must have seen this. Uh, how the customer explained it. This is the way customer wanted it, and how the project leader understood it. Normally, what happens is when the channels become one after the other, too many channels, one after the other, then the like the uh, essence of the original requirement is lost. That is what happens. So this is how the project leader understood it. This is how the analyst has designed it. This is how the programmer wrote it. This is how the business consultant described it, and how the project was documented. The funny part is we do very little documentation in the project. So nothing is documented. Operations, this is the way they installed, and how the customer was built. So this is the, now if you see all these scenarios, they are all done in such a way, and the customer is built beautifully for a bridge. So we build the customer, or or our vendor builds us beautifully. And the support system, again, the support what we get is again this way. And what the customer really needed, this is what the customer really needed. So this is how it happens. Now, what is a project? Now almost everything we do in society can be described as a project. Yes, why? What happens is, even if you're building a skyscraper, or even if you're building a birthday party or a get together, everything can be a project in itself, because a project is something which has a definite beginning and an end. So even a skyscraper has a definite beginning and an end. Even a birthday party or a get together also has a definite beginning and an end. So it's not that only our IT department is having a project, or only R&D is having a project, or only this department only if there is something technical that is called as a project. No, even your birthday party can also be a project. So everything, whatever you and even you can have schedule activities for even a birthday party as well. This is how what you say is a project. Now, as per chapter 1.2 of the PMBOK guide, now PMBOK guide is project management body of knowledge. This is done by the PMI, Project Management Institute. So project is something which is a temporary endeavor. Yes. So you have to give a unique product, service, or a result. Either it can be a product, either it can be a service, or either it can be a result. Next thing is, it has a definite beginning and an end. That has to be remembered. Then PMBOK is project management body of knowledge. Now, these are the tools, what the project management tools do, like your MSP. They help you plan, organize, and manage resource pools. You can manage estimation and planning, scheduling, cost control, budget management. So there are a variety of things which the MS project tool helps you to do. So we'll move on to the next one. Now, this is again what is project management. We have seen what is project, and this is something which is a project management. So project we know now, all of us that it is a something which has a definite start and a definite end. But project management is something which is the field of the study for the successful implementation for the project. Now, again, in project management also you have further development, that is program management, product management, construction management. In fact, portfolio management is also there. So all these things are there, which are like a collection of projects is known as a programs, and then collection of programs is known as a portfolio. So this is how the thing works. So someone who is looking after the entire projects in an organization for different business units across all verticals, that he is the portfolio manager. And then someone who is actually looking after a particular department projects, he will be the program manager. And someone who is looking after a single project, he will be the project manager. So this is how the thing, this is how the technical terminology moves on for this. Now, again, these are the things which is in a project management. We have initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling, and closing. So these are the way the chapter 1.3 of PMBOK guide explains. PMBOK is again project management body of knowledge, as we discussed. So now previously scope, time, and cost. This was the project triangle. Like scope, time, and cost, if we consider, if the scope is less than that, if you're compromising on the scope, then the time and cost will be okay. If you're compromising on the time, then the scope and cost also has to be balanced. So previously it was only these three parameters, but now latest only from scope, time is nothing but schedule, and cost is nothing but budget. So now it has become 6 parameters instead of those 3 parameters, because even quality is something which matters, even risk is something which matters, even resources are something which matters. So this is the difference here, competing project constraints. These are the 6 constraints of a project if you just go through this. So risk and resources and quality, and these are all part of the 10 knowledge areas. Scope is like what is the exact project outcome, time is like when you have to deliver it, and cost is like the resource, or like the finance what you have available for the project, and quality again is what is the as per your standards, whatever you have documented, like we have ISO 9000 for quality, and whatever are the other standards for quality, how you have documented, how it matches the expectations. And then you have resources, and resources are like the people, where you have 3 types of resources. One is the work, material, and cost. So work resources are the people who are required to do the work. Material resources are the actual materials, like if you are building a skyscraper, it will be a cement, it will be steel, it will be those things will be the material resources. And cost resources will be, it can be like your cost resource can be anything, it can be prorated or start, like those will be the cost resources. It can be your airline tickets also, it can be your train tickets, or it can be your porta cabin which is put at site. Those will be the cost resources. So now these are the important PMI standards, which if anyone requires this presentation, I'll share it with them separately. But Abhi, I'm not going through each one of this right now. This is just a list populated. These are the various process groups. So you have these 10 knowledge areas, and you have these 5 process groups. You have 47 processes here. So this is how the thing moves. So for our MS project, like EPM, what we are using, in that it will be project time management and cost management. Primarily these two we will be using. The other 8 are also related, but they are not related to that extent. So this is some of the definitions of the or the parameters in time management. Like if I see this slide, in project time management, you have plan, schedule, define activity, sequence activity, estimate resources, durations, develop schedule, control schedule. Now this slide describes each one of that in detail. What is the plan schedule? What is define activities? What is sequence activity? What is estimate activity resources? And then again, next thing is estimate the activity durations, develop schedule, control schedule. So when you're building your project, you have to be first thing is that when you're planning the schedule, you have to have a document for the planning and controlling and developing that. Then the activities have to be defined. Like whether there are 100 activities or 50 activities or more, or maybe 1,000 activities in the schedule. Then they have to be sequenced with one another. Then the resources have to be given. for each activity, and the durations, then the duration, whether it's 1 day, 2 day, 10 day, whatever is for each activity, duration has to be given. Then finally your schedule gets developed. And this is how, after this, you will control the schedule. When you control the schedule, that will be giving you the tracking. You have to do the tracking for the schedule. Now in project cost management, you have again plan cost management, estimate cost, determine budget, control cost. So these are the 4 processes in the project cost management. Now, what is MS project? Yes, it can help you to plan and schedule your project. It can help you to allocate tasks, track project and cost, but it cannot actually manage the work for your project. And it cannot think and decide for you. I mean, that's something which a human being only has to do. It cannot do the work of a machine. So, I mean, the machine cannot do the work of a human being. So that is what is very important. Some different versions we have given here. So benefits are there. These are flexible and this. And project managers, project control managers, and others interested in managing projects, they can use this. Now, these are the industries. So now it's not that MS project is used only for the construction industry or only for the healthcare industry or only for this. It can be used across any industry, across any domain. So that is the basic advantage of the EPM tool or the MS project also, that in government, real estate, aerospace, hospitality, even your shipbuilding. So even in your education and training, I'll just come to the next slide. Education training, now we can use MS project. So in information technology, in IT projects, we can do that. In automotive, like, so these are the various places where you can use the MS project, various industries. Now, these are some of the organizations, websites and blogs from where you can get the more learning. So this is how this. And now some key differences are there between the MSP and the Primavera software. This you can go through this slide, but it's not very relevant for our thing here. Now, new features here, what we have is, yes, this I will discuss in the today's session. Like the ribbon is there, quick access toolbar is there, then zoom slider is there. So what are these? All these things we will discuss today. So earned value calculations table. This is again a table, yeah, where you have the earned value calculations. And so PV is the planned value, EV is the earned value. So earned value is something which tells you how much we have earned in the project. Planned value is something which is planned at the beginning of the project, when we discuss that what we are discussing at the start of the project. Now, earned value summary table. Now, this is for the process group flow, input, process, and output. This is how it moves. And yes, now in this is called CPM. CPM is critical path method. PDM is precedence diagramming method. So example of the CPM or precedence diagramming method from the practice scheduling, second edition, what I have just put a diagram over here. Each activity looks like this. Like the activity before, like if you consider this as activity C, the activity before this is activity A, which is called as the predecessor activity. So that you have to remember, activity A is the predecessor. Activity D, which comes after the activity C, is the successor, link to the successor. So one is the link from predecessor, one is the link to the successor. Now, this is the early start, late start, early finish, late finish. These 4 durations you can write here. And then activity duration in days you have to obtain. Activity name you will be writing, whatever is the name of the activity. What is the total float? Again, float, we will have to discuss this terminology in detail. What, like float will come in days, what it is. And again, cost, you can write it in currency, or whatever is your local currency that you are permitted to write. Now, some of the project scheduling rules, like schedule should have a complete scope, or the activity should have unique names or verbs. And then one, at least activity, the most important, yeah, out of these rules is each activity should have at least one predecessor and one successor, so that the loop for the schedule is closed. Because, but one thing is there, for the first activity, there will be no predecessor, because in the first activity, what you have, before that, there is no activity, so there is no predecessor for that. And for the last activity, there is no successor, because the last activity, what you have, after that, there is no activity, so that doesn't have successor. But Between all these activities, like second activity, third activity, if there are 10 activities, then the first will not have predecessor, first will have only successor. The 10th activity will have only predecessor and no successor. Between activities 2 to 9, all of them should have a predecessor and a successor. That is a general guideline. I mean, which is preferable. We cannot be very like compulsive that it should be done this way only, but it is preferable. Then activities should not be dangling. We will discuss this with the in a little detailed fashion with the PDF, how the activity should not be dangling. And most relationships should be finished to start. Long lag should not be used. Yes. And again, negative floats and long floats and activities, splitting the activities is again not preferable. And they should not have long durations. So this is how the things move. So, right, this was the end of the presentation now. Now I'll just move to the agenda of the meeting again. This was the introduction to this. Now I'll move to the software. So let me just close this. Let me demonstrate how to start the software from the beginning. I will come here. Let me select computer here for the time being.
Ask if anybody is having any point to clarify in the presentation.
Okay, yeah. So now we are done with the presentation. Anyone has any points to clarify in the PPT? Like anything where I need to read?
How many participants will be in this right now?
वही देख रहा हूँ 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 7 as well. Okay. Okay, 7 have attended. Fine. Right. So this session we are recording for and the recording will also be provided to anyone who is interested, so that it can be revisited and understood again. Now, any questions anyone has in the presentation? I'll come back to the presentation now. I'll pause for 1 minute for the questions, if any. Then we will move to the software. If anyone is interested in this presentation slides, you can ask me. I will send them across to you one to one, and then you can study the PPT properly and then come back to me for any doubts also. Not
Yeah,
an
sure.
issue.
I will be interested in that.
Okay, sir. I'll send it to you.
Okay, let's move.
Fine. So we'll move to the
Please send the PPT to me also.
right. Sure. I'll do
Sir,
that.
please also send it to me. I'm Abby. Thank you.
Okay, okay. I'll do that. I'll do that. Sure. Right. Now, any questions for the matter which is covered till now? Okay, fine. We'll move to the now basics of this. So what was our topic? Using the online help menu, right? Now, first thing is, this is the interface. I'll close this thing. When I'm just opening project from here, I've pinned it to the taskbar. And so I will be opening it from the taskbar. Let me open it on the computer first. Now, coming to this project, we have here, this is the various home, new, and this account feedback, blank project, sprints project, waterfall project. These are the various menu systems. And here your recent projects will appear. Here your pinned projects will appear. So again, you can define, you want how many recent number of projects, you want 20 projects, or you want 30 or 40 projects, how many recent number of projects you want, that you can define it here. How many pinned are there, that also you can define it in the options. Now, if I come to the, now my topic here was using the online help menu. So online help menu is here. If I click on this, then my online help menu opens. So here it comes, start backstage with the file tab, Office 2019 to the 10 to 19. So what I would request is click on that help and then take some time out to study this thing. What are the products? These are the products. You don't need to go into that in much detail, but Microsoft 365 and Office 21 and 10 to 19. So this is which is given here. Take a tour and then to file and download more. You can download some templates from here. So this is how the software works. So this is the online help menu. If you are not connected to the internet, you have offline help menu also, but the offline help menu is not very much interested. Offline help menu is not very much helpful to you. Now here next is Varun Kumar Gupta. Like my name is coming over here. This so your display name will be the license which has been issued to you. Then again, this we all know. Yeah, this is minimize icon. This is the full screen icon. This is the close icon. Now, if I come to more templates over here in the help menu itself, I will say show more. This I'm able to see some more templates. So it's not necessary that I always open a project from a blank template. If I have some ready-made templates, and there are thousands of templates here, as you can see, what Microsoft has given you here. So let me say if I want projects, I will click on projects here. So I will get commercial project, residential project, and other projects. Types of projects are again getting loaded. I'll go back here and then I can click schedules, analysis, industry, business, technology, marketing. So I'm not going into each of them in detail, but let me say if I type here construction, like just to say, if I type, then I'm getting two templates here. One is commercial construction, one is the residential construction. If I click on this commercial construction, it is asking me for a date. I can specify a date. If it's today, then I can specify today. If it's after that, let me specify it, let us say 25. It will then the start date will be 25. Let me click on create. It downloads the template and it creates the project. So automatically your predecessor, successors, and all these things will appear. But again, yeah, that may be different. You may not need these activities exactly how they are, but this will be useful in case you don't have anything at all and you want to practice. So in that case, it will be useful. So now, so this was about the help menu. Next thing is project scheduling rules. Okay, let me come to this project scheduling rules. What we have first, you have to see that activities should have unique names. Like if you have the unique names in your activities, that is always preferable. Like one way is to say 5th floor, build columns, build shear wall, build slab. But another way is to keep unique names like structure of the 5th floor, build the columns of the 5th floor, build the shear walls of the 5th floor, build the slab of the 5th floor. Now, if any one of you who has done the scheduling, then what happens is you will understand the beauty behind this particular rule, that why this rule is being implemented. Now, if what happens is if I'm putting predecessor successor relationship, if I keep it build shear wall, between this build shear wall and this build column, if I keep the relationship, it will give a wrong relation. It will give a wrong output in my project, which will be a disaster, which I don't want. Making sense or like anything? Right. So now, but if I make it as a unique verb, build the columns of the 5th floor, build the shear walls of the 5th floor, build the slab of the 5th floor, then what happens is I will, once I see this build the shear wall of 6th floor, I will not link this with the column of the 5th floor. I will be careful when I see those activities. But when there are this type of activities, then I may link them like that. So that's why it is preferable. See, again, what I'm telling here, it's not that it's a rule that it has to be done this way only. But these are the things which are general guidelines, which are actually preferable to do. It is quite possible that if I myself also create a schedule, sometimes I may not be able to implement everything. It is quite possible. Not that you have to do it as a compulsion, but it is preferable to do always. So this was the one rule. Now activities name should have a verb. Now verb means like prepare shop drawings for the structure of 2nd floor, shop drawing of the structure of 2nd floor. Now which one is preferable for the activity? Can anyone tell me? See, there is two things. One is the WBS element, one is the activity, right? WBS is work breakdown structure. So work breakdown structure is something which is a hierarchical decomposition of the activities into small parts or small as per your PMBOK guide, like the definition of the WBS. Maybe it's not given here. I'm just stressing it out. So it's a hierarchical decomposition. Like you have a parent task, summary task. Amongst that, you have a small tasks. So that is the WBS. And the child tasks are the ones which are the below the WBS, or they are the task. So now prepare shop drawing is something which will be your task. And prepare means it's a verb. What we have seen here, activity name should have a verb. So prepare shop drawing is a verb, and that's why it will be activity. And shop drawing of the structure of the second floor is something which is a like summary task or something that will be the WBS. So now each activity should have one predecessor and successor, right? We discussed this one very well, that yes, you should have a predecessor and successor. And if you don't have predecessor successor, then your future schedules will not be realistic for each activity. And the performance information and delay analysis also, what you do, it will not be realistic in the schedule. So that is very important. So now in the end, yes, now this is again a very important thing. Now there are some activities which are independent. You may have a question. Okay, now there are some activities which are independent in itself, and those activities, they don't have a predecessor, they don't have a successor. In that case, what should I do? Am I right? This question can arise, right? So in that case, what you do is, in that case, you make the start milestone. Like if your first activity of the schedule, if it's your LOI, letter of intent, let us say that is your first activity. So make the start milestone as the predecessor of that activity, and make the finish milestone of the last milestone. Maybe your last milestone can be project completion or project handover. That can be your last milestone probably. So make the last milestone as the successor. In that way, what happens? At least the loop is closed. That's what I'm trying to stress over here. At least the loop is closed. So for independent activities, we can deal with the problem in this way. That's what it is saying, that if you don't have predecessor, you make the start milestone as its predecessor. And if you believe it doesn't have any successor, make the finish milestone as its successor. So this is how it happens. Now the activity should not be dangling. So implementing the previous rule is necessary. But what happens is, now I'm having 4 types of relationships as we have discussed in the last session. One is the start to start. One is the, so I hope people are taking notes also. What I would request, like, people to take notes. If you are already aware, then it's not required. If you're not aware, then I would request you to take the notes. So one is the start to start, one is finish to start, one is start to finish, one is finish to finish. There are these 4 types of like relationships between 2 activities. So always, now dangling activity means what happens is, A and B and C, there are these 3 activities. Between A and B, I'm keeping a finish to start link. Between B and C, I'm keeping a start to start link with a lag of 2 days. Lag of 2 days means start to start plus 2 days. That means C is starting 2 days after the start of B. This is how I'm doing. C is starting 2 days after the start of activity B. So now what happens actually, if let us say this is my earthwork, and this is my PCC, and this is my reinforcement. Now we are very much aware in construction what happens. Just as an example, first the earthwork happens. You will first dig your land, then you will put the PCC, you will put the PCC, pre-stressed cement concrete for that. Then on that you will put the reinforcement cage. So all these 1, 2 and 3 should happen one after the other, or they can happen in little sequence also. Like C is having the reinforcement cage, that can happen 2 days after B. But now what happens is, when you're actually updating your schedule, tracking your schedule, during the tracking of your schedule, if activity B, instead of Like if activity A is, let us say, 1st to 10th January, this is from 11th to 20th January. Here it is 2 days. So this is from, let us say, 13th to, let us say, 25th January. Then what happens is, if my PCC is delayed, then this activity will go, it will shoot here, like how it is shown in the diagram here. It will shoot from here to here. And then what happens? My PCC, in my schedule, what is happening? My PCC is happening after my reinforcement. A reinforcement is completing before my PCC. Now, is it logical? Because once your PCC is done, only then you can do the reinforcement. Now here what it is showing, this is reinforcement end date here. This is the start date, end date. And this, when I'm updating the schedule, when I'm entering the actual start, actual finish dates, this is shifting from here to here. When it shifts from here to here, then this to start plus what is happening? PCC is happening before the reinforcement. Now, after the reinforcement, which is not a logical thing at all. So the whole purpose of my creating a schedule itself is destroyed. So that's why activity should not be dangling. Dangling in the sense, the end of this activity should never be left loose. Either you should put a finish to finish relationship here, or again a finish to start relationship with this activity should be there. This concept is clear to everyone, because if it is not clear, then I will explain it once again. Right? Is this clear to everyone? Right, okay. Now, let me move to the, so what it says is every activity should have at least one FS or SS predecessor and at least one FS or FF successor. So that is very important. So again, when we come further into this, we will discuss that finish to start is something which should be normally used, and not your start to start, not finish to finish. Start to finish actually makes no sense at all. If you see the SF relationship, we'll come to that also. Okay, now back to the rule. See here, the finish to start and start to start influence the successor start date, right? When I'm saying A and B, this is finish to start, means after A finishes, then B starts. So this A is influencing the start of the B. A and B is there. This is start to start. So again, A is also influencing the start of B, but it is not influencing the finish of B. Or like the finish of A is not influencing B in any manner. Here the finish of A will influence B in some manner or the other. So now finish to finish and finish to start are successors are influenced by the finish activity. This is the now finish of B influences the successor because of its finish to start relationship. Here again, if you say finish to finish, finish of B influences the successor because of finish to finish relationship. So finally, any doubt, Anna? Anna, any doubt? I think you.
No, I think she is picking up the call.
Acha, okay, fine, all right. Right. So these are the dangling activities we have discussed. Now, now this rule, what I was discussing, that most relationships should be finished to start. Why they should be finished to start? Again, we have seen that if you're not using them as a finish to start, like if you have this predecessor 1, 2, 3, 4, these are 4 activities, and A and B are 2 activities. So now for A, you have these 4 activities as finish to start. And between B, you're keeping it as finish to start between A and B, right? Now, what happens here is, instead of doing it like this, what you should do is, what it should be done proper in the proper scheduling practices, predecessor 1, 2, 3, 4 should be attached to B itself. If you see it in the below diagram, B is having 1 finish to start, 2 finish to start, 3 finish to start, 4 finish to start. So with that way, what happens is, each of these previous activities finish is affecting the start of this. And then the both will give the same result only. But in this case, this is more preferable. Or otherwise, what you can do
Hold
is,
on, one thing, can you go upside, so what is the difference in these two, you said?
this two is, um, see, there are 4 activities, predecessor 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right,
Like predecessor means the, these are the previous activities.
right,
A and B are the 2 next activities.
right,
Now, here the thing is, if you consider, right, if you consider activity A, so 1, 2, 3, and 4 all are giving it as a finish to start relationship.
correct.
But now between A and B, we are keeping it as a start. This A is number 5 activity. 5 activity, number 5. So B is being influenced by the start of A,
Hmm.
but it is not being influenced by the finish of any of these activities. So what we are doing is we are keeping the same relationships for B also. That may be the right choice. Or otherwise, same like 1FS, 2FS, 3FS, finish to start relationships only, rather than putting it as start to start. Or a better option would be you put a milestone of 0 days duration. See, activities which is having duration, 1 day duration, 2 day duration, 3 day, they will be shown as a bar, blue color bar in the chart. An activity which is having a 0 day duration will come as a milestone. That I think most of us are aware. So this you will have a milestone over here. Now this milestone, if you make it, then you link all these activities to this milestone. And then this milestone, you can link it to these two. That is another option also what you have.
Okay,
Is it clear, sir? Or like,
Yeah.
if I shall I explain again? Like,
no, it's okay.
right, okay, fine. So, right, so this was the thing. Now, yeah, now the thing is we discussed like four types of relationships are there. Na? So start to finish should be avoided as much as possible. So start to finish. Yes, yes.
So,
Leela?
so I think you can mute her.
Okay, okay, fine. Right. Now, so start to finish again, it makes no sense because the what happens here is like the start of the first activity is influencing the finish of second activity, which actually makes no sense at all. So this relationship they have, Microsoft has removed it in the newer versions of your project web app. It was there earlier, so this should be avoided if anyone is having the earlier version of the project. Start to finish. So this is the thing. Now long lags should not be used, right? So now consider, yeah. Now if you have a 2-year-old project, what happens is long lags. Lags is nothing but between the two activities. If you're not have, if you're like if first activity is from 1st to 5th January, let us say, second activity is from 8th to 12th January. Then 3 days lag is there between the first and the second activity. So you will say FS plus 3 days. That is what means as a lag. That is what is called as a lag. And lead is the opposite of lag. First activity is, let us say, 1st to 10th January. Second activity is 8th to 12th January. Then you will say FS minus 2 days. So that it starts from 8th January. So this is how the difference goes. So long lags, if you're using, it gives a very bad impression in the schedule. Like if you're having design of this XYZ wall and then you're building this wall. So what happens here is, this is if you're giving this much of the lag. So that again will give you a incorrect result, because like that's why what the better solution is, you insert one more activity in middle, build XYZ, you can say, or get approval for the design XYZ, get approval for the design, make this activity, and then you can have a continuous schedule. So that's then your long lag which is happening, that can be avoided. So that is the difference here. So same way you can say here, just another example, build slab. Now what happens is, in construction, normally when we are building a slab, we will sometimes we'll do it in 2 pours, pour 1 and pour 2. It's not that we will cast the whole slab in a single pour. That's not the way it is done. We'll make it in 2 pours, pour 1, pour 2. So if you're building a part 1 slab, you're building a part 2 slab. And then you can put a activity in the middle saying the curing the slab of part 1. Like normally curing depends in, like as per the Indian standards, the curing is 7 days. So it will be different in different parts of the world, depending upon the winter. If it's winter, then the curing time is less. If it's summer, then the curing time is more for the slab. That is how the way moves. Things move forward. So cure the slab. So this is how it is. So number of lags should be the fewest possible. Yes, this we have already discussed. Number of leads should be the fewest possible. Lag and lead, I think everybody knows now. Lag is something which is, if we are putting a FS relation or whatever, start to start any relation, that will be delaying the activity, and lead will be squeezing the time and starting the next activity at a before date. That is the difference here. Number of leads also we have seen. So activities should not have negative floats, right? Now, okay, this is a little advanced concept, so I'll take it up later. And long floats, float we will discuss again, maybe in the next session or something. And yeah, they should not be a split. Now, if you are having one activity like this, if it comes a dotted line and then this, so again, this split is not advisable. So two separate activities you can make it, one activity and another activity, instead of splitting it. So relationship to the cause, and then you can give them a finish to start relationship or whatever it is, rather than having them split. Because again, splitting will also bring some more scheduling errors in your schedule. So those type of scheduling errors are not advisable. Now date constraint should be the fewest. Yes, now this is a very, very important concept. Date constraints. You know very well, we have 7 types of constraints, right? Am I right or wrong? 8 types of constraints. Date constraints. As soon as possible, as late as possible, start no earlier than, then start no later than, finish no earlier than, finish no later than, right? These are all the 6-7 types of constraints. Must finish on, must start on. So out of this, if you're saying must finish on, that means it should start on that day only. So then you're nailing the activity. You're like, it's like you're taking a hammer and you're nailing that activity there. So that should be avoided. So that should not be done. What it should be done is, you should only use as soon as possible and as late as possible. And again, in that also, as late as possible will give you the reverse scheduling from behind. So as soon as possible is something which should be used. So date constraint is something which should not be used. Date constraint you will understand more when I come to the software. So date constraints, if you have, they should be implemented through milestones, right? Well, how you will implement? One is the sample activity constraint applied directly to the activity. Directly, you are applying the constraint here. Let us say must start on. Now permit for start of activity. You will make a milestone here. And then you will link the milestone here. Constraint applied indirectly to the activity. This is one way. Okay, now activities, next rule is activities should not have long durations. Now long durations means, let us say, if I'm starting my project, doing the whole project, I'm keeping it as 100 days, and then I'm ending. I'm just keeping a 1-line activity project, which makes no sense. How will I track the project? So general guideline is by the Project Management Institute and the DoD, like Defense of the United States, is maximum allowed duration is 44 working days, equal to 2 calendar months. So more than 44 working days, try. I mean, again, if something is unavoidable, we are not saying that again, you should not do it, but always try that the duration of one single activity should not be more than 44 working days. Normally, if it is 1 day, 2 day, 3 days, it is always better. But otherwise, it should not be more than 44 working days. So that is the rule. Because if you will ask me, like, you're doing the whole project is not advisable, then what should it be? So that is the answer, that 44 working days. Now duration unit should always be the same. This is something which is a mandatory rule. If activity 1 is like 22 days, 15 days, 3 days, it's fine. Now, if activity 1, you are putting it as 1 month, 2, you are putting it as 3 weeks, 3, you are putting it as 3 days. So you're changing the type of duration. One activity you're putting it in month, one you're putting it in weeks, one you're putting it in days. This again makes no sense. How will you track it? So if you're using months, then use it for months throughout the project. If you're using weeks, then use it for weeks throughout the project. If you're using days, then you use it for days throughout the project. And the most common preferable for our types of project is days. Normally we use in days only. I think we are all aware about this thing that we use the days. So this is the work breakdown structure, okay, fine. So these are, anyone requires this PDF also, I'll send them across.
Yeah.
So now MSP default menus, let us come to this task, resource, report, project, view, help, Gantt chart format. Let me come to this. So I'll just click on a blank project. So now what happens here? This is the task. In the task, you have these options, which is the Gantt chart, paste, font, schedule, task, insert, properties, link. So this will help you to work with the task. Tasks, you will type them here. These are the task names. So what happens is there are two, this is divided into two parts here. This part is known as the Gantt table. This part is known as the Gantt chart. So Gantt chart, here you will get the graph. Gantt table, you have to type the activities. There are activities are of two types. At the bottom, if you see, it is written here, new task manually scheduled or auto scheduled. I will make it as auto scheduled. So making it as auto scheduled is again advisable. Always manually scheduled tasks are not advisable. So now I will just say task 1, task 2, whatever. And now if you see, the timeline has appeared. So timeline is something again which you can copy in your presentation or copy in your email, or you can use that way. I'll right click here, copy timeline for presentation. I will copy it here. I can put this somewhere in my presentation here, and then my timeline appears here in the presentation. So there is no need for me actually to show the entire 100 or 500 activity schedule to the management. Just with the help of this one timeline, I can show it. And here, if these are the tasks, I'll make it as 2 days or some 3 days, or like, okay, whatever days. Let me make it as 2 days. I will say right click here and add this to timeline. It gets added to the timeline. Now predecessor we have seen. I will make 1 as the predecessor of 2. This comes here. I'll come here, right click here, add to timeline. Again, second task also gets added to the timeline. So this timeline view is something which is a very important aspect in your project management. So resource, okay. So just to have a brief understanding, resource view will have how to deal with resources, how to assign resources, resource pool, and leveling of resources is important again. So in depth, we'll come to this in the coming sessions. Then reports, these are the various types of reports. The most important again is if I click on visual reports and I make it into months, and then if I say baseline cost report, your budget cost report, the graph should come like this. So that is the most important report, which management wants, which is the cost report, because management is interested in the cost only. So now it turns into Excel, and this is how the report gets generated. Right now it will show no data, it will show 0 data because my cost is 0 there. I have not assigned any resource to the activities. I have not put any cost there. So this, as per this pivot table, as per this chart, the cost comes here. So this is how the report works.
Cost will come automatically over there. Or
Cost will come automatically, but before the cost to come, you have to put the resources, and in the resources you have to define the cost also. So resources again,
Where
yes,
will put that?
resources you have to put it in the resource sheet here. Like let us say if I put here XYZ person. Now he will be a work resource. There are 3 types of resource: work, material, and cost. He will be a work resource. And here is maximum allocation is 100% right now. Standard rate. Here the rate will be for that person, let us say dollars, it is in dollars here, we can put it into INR also. Let us say it's $20 per hour. And here it is overtime is, let us say $10 per hour, or overtime I will keep it as 0. Normally, we don't get overtime. XYZ person, I will come back to this. There are 4 buttons here actually. If you see down at the bottom, with these 4 buttons, Gantt chart, and this is the team task usage view. This is the team planner. This is the resource sheet. You can navigate. Now in this Gantt chart, if I come here, task 1, I will come, resource, I will go. I will say assign resource. So this box comes up. I will come here. I will assign this resource here. Close it here. So what happens is, the resource did not get assigned. Okay, let me assign it once again. And I'll select this resource, assign. Now it is assigned, close. So this resource name appears here, XYZ person over here. So this is the way it appears. And XYZ person, it comes over here. And then the cost associated will also come with that. Now, if I just see that team plan, let me come to the task Gantt chart. Anything, I can see the report, let me see cost. If I say cash flow, so now it is showing some data here. At least it is showing $320 is the cost, remaining cost. But baseline, I have not set any baseline for the project. That's why this is 0. Actual cost, I have not updated the baseline, so it is 0. So remaining cost, it is showing 320, and cost variance again, it is showing 320. Basically, this is the way the reports can be shown to the management. Now the cost is coming once I put the resource and I have shown there. So project, again, in project, you have to have the project information. How you define a project is define it always from the start date and schedule from project start date. That is the way it should be done. Calendar should be like calendar. There are 3 types of basic calendars in MS Project: 24 hours, night shift, and standard calendar. So you're scheduling it from start date and saying okay. So then this is the way it appears. Project information. So this is the way you should do it for your project. Now I will say view. I will again come to the Gantt chart, and my Gantt chart is visible here. Task usage, task board. If you click on a task board, so this is something the way like a sprint as you can do. If I add new task here, I can manage it in this manner also. But that this is not normally what we use. This is not preferable. We usually use the Gantt chart only. You can use the network diagram view also. In network diagram, see, in my presentation, I had shown, if you remember, that how it was a network diagram, how a task is seen, start, finish is seen. So that way the network diagram also you can use. If you want it, you can go to more views, and you can say descriptive network diagram also. Apply it, and the descriptive network diagram comes. So resources, you will get it over here. So calendar also, now this is the calendar view. In calendar view, you will be able to see how the tasks are running. So that's why it's always preferable. What I would say is that always try to first do it in your MSP desktop client. And this is file. If you go, this is the backstage view. New, open for this particular file, info and account. So in account here, it will be written here, Microsoft Project Online Desktop Client. So this is your account. It can be project professional also, it can be project standard also, but here it comes project online desktop client. This is important factor to consider over here. If you go to info and then manage accounts, here you will be able to add your account. Microtech, like how I have added your account. So here you can add the account, then you will have the option to either choose it from the computer or either publish it on the project web app. So this is the calendar format again. So you can keep on exploring on these options, which I have discussed. Now the next thing is, okay, what was the next thing? Backstage view we have seen, new project file we have seen, Gantt chart view we have seen, zoom bar and scroll bar. Okay, come to the Gantt chart view. This is the zoom slider at the bottom. and this is the scroll bar. You can scroll here, you can scroll like this, and then if you want, you can go to view and zoom entire project. So the entire project comes here as a zoomed condition. No need to zoom individually or manually. Right, so now 3 buttons we have discussed: project information. Right now, ribbon. Now ribbon is something which is this one. This again is the same thing for the Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint and project. This is called as ribbon. We are collapsing the ribbon. If you want to, then once you collapse the ribbon, you will have more space to work over here. You can double click it here, then the ribbon opens also. And this is known as the quick access toolbar, wherein I can put the commands which I need, the most urgent commands. So if you show this below the ribbon, if I click here now, then this comes below the ribbon here. So while I'm working here, I can just directly go here and do it. I don't need to search the commands in my ribbon, which I am using the most command. Here again, it says shows above the ribbon. So this is the way the things are like it happens. Now, then the next thing is customizing the quick access toolbar and customizing the mini toolbar. With this, our today's session will come to an end, right? So I'll right click here, customize the ribbon. These commands, you can bring them to this side also. And same way, if I say right click here, and I will say customize the quick access toolbar, more commands, I can customize the quick access toolbar also. So if I say here assign resources, add, this command comes here, I'll say okay. And then I will come here, this assign resources, if you see the command has come over here. Or I can come here also. I can say touch or mouse mode. That is also possible. If you have a touch laptop, you can use the touch mode or mouse mode also. So this is also possible. So that's it. So just a minute. So this brings us to the end of today's session. And now I would request the participants to like come up with questions what they have regarding the things which are discussed in today's session.
I think it was very good session. So I mean, thanks for this insight and overview of this MS project. Alok is audible.
So Mr. Alok is audible to you?
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I think it was very good session.
Yeah, I've closed my voice.
Yeah, I think it was very good session given by Varun. Thanks, Varun, for this insight of MS project. I did this long back, in my earlier organization, and I think today it get refreshed. It will be good. There are two things. One would be I will appreciate if we share this presentation and the relevant docs for our references. Second, just give us insight at how we can. And I'm sure this license version, right? So whosoever is all the users who are going to use this, we need to procure the license for this.
Right.
So I would, yeah. So just need to understand, how we can proceed for that. Would you take the management approval or talk to Ashish?
What I would request is like whosoever requires a license, so whosoever is like thinks that they can upload their projects and make it as a so that I would request that particular person to drop an email to me and demand a license.
Okay. So you need to take some approval. Upper cap kuch hai aisa kuch ya, because I'm sure everybody would not be requiring this, the license version of this, because it is bearing cost, right?
That actually management will take a decision on that, because if we are just taking project professional what we are discussing on the desktop client. If we are only purchasing that, then the license cost is more than 1 lakh rupees for one person. But if we are taking the project plan 3 license, then it's around, I think, 2,000 or 5,000 per month billing. That billing happens per month. So project plan 3, and then in that you can access the EPM also. When you can access EPM with that, you have the option to download this license of desktop client also free along with that. So you will get the both benefits, the cloud also and on-premise benefit also.
So, do you have any other session also scheduled further to guide on this, or this is the only thing which you wanted to share? With
I will keep further sessions. This was just an introduction.
introductory?
This was just an introductory discussion, only presentations. Today we have discussed very few things about the real scheduling and all. So in the next, because the topics what I have just covered those topics,
Yeah.
and I have went little outside those topics also. I will keep more sessions if people are interested by looking
Sure.
at the response and all.
Right. Good. Thanks for my side.
Okay. So yeah, anyone else? Anything else? Anyone? So anyone else? Anyone wants to like say?
Thank you for the session, sir. And would request you to kindly share the PPT and the PDF that you have shown.
PDF and PPT, right? So whoever needs that PPT and PDF, you send a single mail to me that this is required, so that I will remember like who wants it, because otherwise I may I have noted down the attendees also. I think I'll send it across to today, all the attendees who have attended today.
Yeah, right.
I'll do that. The PPT and the PDF, I'll send both of these things, so that you can go through that, and then if you have any doubt in that, please feel free to discuss and ask. So the recording of this session is done, and that will be available also in future as a link. We can publish the recording if someone wants to refer back to anything. So that's also there. So any other questions or feedback from anyone else? Anyone else? Anything? Okay. Okay, fine. So I think we are actually 4 minutes above the time, above the prescribed time. So we'll publish the next schedule soon for the next set of training, and then we'll see how things move on. And I mean, meanwhile, if anyone doesn't have a license, you need a license, please drop an email to me demanding the license. So I will take it up with the management for providing the license in case you don't have a license and you want to upload your projects there. Right?
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, Varun. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.